Good morning, students. Today we are going to read the lecture number 6 in the topic of short questions in the subject of history O levels. So concentrate yourself. We will read almost 10 short questions in the subject of history. So we are going to start now. The first important question for today is, what was the Government of India Act 1935? So despite the failure of the roundtable conferences in 1933, the British announced its proposals for the India in a white paper. In August 1935, the Government of India Act became law. Its main terms were that India was to be a federation, including British India and any princely states. The archie was replaced by the degree of the autonomy at provincial level. NWFP, which is now KPK in Pakistan, was given provincial status, but emergency powers were with the Viceroy. 3 new provinces were added. The next important question for today is, what is the importance of the Government of India Act 1935? This act was an important point in the move towards the independence. It provided the basis for the negotiations which finally resulted in the British leaving India. Parliamentary system had been set up in which the Indian people were to gain increasing representation. Independence was moving nearer. It gave an idea to Muslims for struggle to achieve Pakistan. So it became the interim constitution for 2 new countries in 1947. So this is the importance of the Government of India Act, because through which the British were becoming weaker and weaker day by day, and independence was coming nearer. The next important question for today is, what was Arya Samaj? Arya Samaj was founded by Dayanand Saraswati in 1877. It had been supported by Western and Northern India. It aimed to purify Hinduism of some of the impure practices into which it had fallen. It started violence and made attacks on Lord Minto too during the partition of the Bengal. The next important question for today is, what was the Swadeshi movement? It was started by the extremist Hindus during the partition of the Bengal 1905 to 1911. It was the boycott of the British Hindus, because Hindus were of the opinion that Hindus are supreme in over the other minorities of the subcontinent. They wanted the supremacy of the Hindus in the subcontinent and were suppressing the Muslims. So they were against the partition of the Bengal, which was in the welfare of the Muslims. It was the boycott of the British goods. They used to have bonfires of the British goods in the chowks. This resulted in a threat to British economy, as they lost most of the raw materials for their industries. Many became bankrupt. So, due to which the partition of the Bengal was reversed. The next important question for today is, what were the results of the 1937 elections? Congress won absolute majorities in 5 provinces and was the largest party in 3 others. So in total, they were actually in majority in 8 provinces. It was invited to form ministries in the United Provinces, the Central Provinces, Bihar, Orissa, Madras, Bombay, and later Assam and NWFP. So that was a clear majority of the Indian National Congress in the subcontinent at that time in 1937 selection. Even in the 3 remaining provinces, that is Punjab, Sindh and Bengal, Muslims only won 109 out of 482 seats. So look at the bad condition of the Muslim League. These were the first elections on separate basis. Coalition government was formed in Punjab and NWFP by the Congress. So in these elections, these were the results. The next important question that we are going to read is, what was the Varda scheme? This was a basic educational scheme based on Gandhi's views. Teaching was to be in Hindi. Spinning cotton cloth by hand was introduced into the school curriculum, and there was no religious education. So these reforms were for the welfare of the Hindu education and were against the Muslims. All students were expected to bow before a picture of the Gandhi at schools. It was also called Basic Education Scheme. It created great resentment and hatred by Muslims for Hindus. The next important question for today is, what was the song Bande Matram? It was written by Bengali Bankim Chatterjee in his novel Anand Math in 1937. This was the national song of the Hindus, in which they encouraged to expel Muslims out of the Hindustan. This was a riot, a Congress policy, but the singing of the song was made compulsory before the start of the official business every day in the provincial assemblies, in the offices, and in the schools, colleges, and educational institutes. This worried and offended Muslims. The next important question for today is, what was Vidya Mandir scheme? It was started by Dr. Zakir Hussain during 1919 and was to convert Muslims to Hindus by force. He also stressed that they should leave their organization Muslim League and join the Congress to get benefits. So actually, Dr. Zakir Hussain were with the Indian National Congress and Hindus, and he was working for their welfare. The next important question for today is, what was the Hijrat movement? It was made in 1920 by the Indian Muslims. Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad and Maulana Abdul Bari called this subcontinent a Darul Harb. So he announced that Muslims must migrate to an Islamic land, and therefore 20,000 Muslims moved toward Afghanistan. After leaving their houses and businesses and property, all things, they were returned, and they ended in miseries and disaster. Only 1,800 were accepted, and others had to suffer because their businesses and homes were captured by the others when they left India. The next important question for today is, what was Satyagrah? It was movement by Gandhi. It means true path. He wanted to be on the right path and stressed the British for self-rule, that is Swaraj. It was started by him in 1919 during the Rowlatt Act period. So this was the lecture, students, for today. I hope so this will be much more easier and interesting for you people to understand and learn these questions. So we have read 10 questions in the lecture number 6 today. So read this lecture again, understand it, learn it, and make your notes. Thank you so much.